A thriller here on the Everest and Nature Strip, given the cue by McDonald, and the champ races to the lead by a length on Eduardo. Private Eyes running on, then came over past Shades of Rose, Jacquino and Giga Kick. Nature Strip a length in front, Private Eye, Giga Kick down the outside, wins the Everest. The unbeaten 3-year-old's done it.
All right, pretty fucked up, hey? Nature Strip, the unbeatable sprinter, gets done after looking home at the 300. Gets done, finishes fourth, and these two punters here, who had the potential to make $22,500, lose every single one of these multis that are on the screen. All 6 multis running into Nature Strip to win the Everest. They had 4 weeks to decide what to do here, and it got done. And the bookies are absolutely laughing because these two punters had the potential to guarantee themselves close to $12,000, okay? Now, before we start this video and before you're wondering what the fuck is going on here, I want you to ask yourself a question, and I want you to ask, how many times have you been on the last leg of your multi? Now then ask yourself, how many times that last leg has lost? Probably a couple of times for some of you, maybe heaps of times for others. But what if I told you that every time you're on the last leg, whether that be a greyhound, whether that be a sporting team, whether that be a harness, whether that be a horse like Nature Strip, who was unbeatable in the morning of the Everest, what if I told you that every time you're in that position, you could guarantee profit? This video is going to explain to you how you would do this in this situation and explain how these two punters could have guaranteed themselves close to $12,000 and why they are absolute idiots for not taking profit off the table, okay? This video is not about taking the piss out of punters or to degrade losing gamblers. It's also not to encourage multi-bets. One thing that must be said here is these guys had put a number of multi-bets on over months that were all running into Nature Strip. And what you're seeing here is only the ones that were pending on the last leg. A lot of these multi-bets didn't get to the last leg and therefore haven't been calculated in the calculations here. So make sure you understand that obviously we're not about multi-bets here. Multi-bets are really rare to get profit from in the long term, and there are not many professional punters out there who actually profit off multi-bets compared to those who actually have their own systems on singles. But that's another discussion. Just understand that these are only the ones that were shown that are pending currently. So the situation is as follows. $460 were outlaid across these 6 bets, with a potential payout of close to $23,000. If you want the exact figures, $22,436 if Nature Strip wins, and obviously $460 lost if Nature Strip loses. Make sure you don't forget that. These people don't lose 0, they lose $460 if all these bets lose, okay? Make sure you understand that. So the next thing I want to basically show you is you've got 2 options here. Option 1, in this position, 4 weeks to decide. You've got let it ride, which obviously is the most socially accepted thing to do. It's fun. You're a coward if you cash out. Hedging is for gardeners. All that rubbish, right, that the bookies want you to think. Or you can obviously cash it out or lay it. Now, cashing it out in this situation wasn't possible because these punters use boosts and power plays and stuff like that. And obviously the bookie doesn't allow you to use the cash out feature when you do use these tools. But you could have laid it on BETFAIR and guaranteed as much as 11.5K, which is quite sad that this came out in this situation. And we were telling this guy for about 3 to 4 weeks, telling him, mate, you need to lay this bet, you need to lay this bet. Don't fucking walk away with nothing from this decision that you've made here or from this position that you're in because you'll regret it. Anyway, we know what happened. He didn't lay it and you just saw what happened at the start of the video. So we're gonna take a step back and I'm gonna ask you a question. If you're in this situation, deal or no deal, 2 possible outcomes. That's $1 million there, and that's $200. The bank offer is $450K essentially. All right, what would you do? If you answered, I'll take the bank offer, most sane people when it comes to money would take the bank offer. All right, and the reason why they would take the bank offer is because they see the $450,000 as a life-changing amount of money, okay? But what you need to understand, and the people here who are really advanced when it comes to financial and investing terms, they'll see that this $450,000 here is only 45% of the total potential winning, all right? Now, comparing that to the last situation, 45% profit in that bank situation, 450K, probably most people don't view the same as 11.5K. But what you should be looking at is this 11.5K profit versus 22,436 profit is actually more than half of the potential profit. If you didn't see that, you need to think and start thinking more clearly around money and treating every dollar the same. Don't treat the 450K differently as to how you would treat the 11.5K. I don't care if you don't think it's as life-changing. That money is exactly the same in a monetary value. Ratio for ratio, you should be considering and making decisions based on the numbers rather than what that money could do to you, okay, if it was a massive amount, okay? And doing this and treating every dollar the same will have massive impacts on your decision-making in a positive way when it comes to anything to do with money, whether that be stocks, crypto, housing, business decisions, whatever it is. If you start thinking dollar for dollar, treat every dollar the same, you'll make better decisions when it comes to money. That's just an opinion. If you don't agree with me, well, bad luck. But try that on the next time you make a decision around money, and I guarantee you'll start thinking differently. Okay, let's change the scenario here, and I'm going to make it a little bit more relatable. I'm going to take one of these punters who had 4 of the bets, okay? I've actually included one extra because he's told us that he had 50 at $22 essentially to return another 1,100. We didn't get the screenshot of that, but we're going to go with it because he had about 4.5K if Nature Strip wins in return. What you need to see here is a $210 investment and a potential payout of $4,400. Profit terms, obviously $4,190, or lose $210. He could have guaranteed himself $2,100 guaranteed profit if he was to have laid Nature Strip, okay? That's what you need to understand. And I'm going to show you exactly how he could have done that. So before we get started, I am going to explain to anyone out there who doesn't understand how Betfair works and what a lay bet is, what exactly that is. If you don't know this, please pay attention because you're not going to have no clue what's going on once I start going through examples after this. If you already understand what Betfair is, skip about 2 minutes in front here. Okay, so most punters are going to know what a back bet is. It's pretty much any bet that you place on a retail bookie. You want your selection to win, okay? If your back bet wins or your selection on your back bet wins, that back bet is a winner. If your selection loses, the back bet is a loser. Now, let's reverse the exact opposite of that and not complicate this. A lay bet is not well known, but it's essentially the exact opposite of a back bet. If you lay something, you want it to lose. If your selection loses on a lay bet, the lay bet is a winner. If the selection wins, the lay bet loses. It's the exact opposite of a back bet. If you're with me, good. Now we're going to get into the maths, okay? The example here is that a back bet on Nature Strip, $100 at $1.80 would obviously profit $80, okay? 100 times 1.8, 180 return, investment of 100, take away the stake, back to $80 profit. If Nature loses, you lose your $100. Pretty simple. Now let's talk lay bet. It's the exact opposite. So your risk when you are a layer is the profit. It's the exact opposite, okay? So if you were to lay Nature Strip on Betfair, assuming everything got matched, which it was easily matched in the morning of the Everest at $1.80, I'm actually being quite generous here. You may have even got a shorter price. But if Nature Strip ended up winning, you would lose $80. Remember, it's the exact opposite of the profit. The 80 here and the 80 there are the exact opposite. Essentially, you become the bookie when you lay, okay? So Nature Strip goes on to win, you would have lost $80. If Nature Strip actually loses, your lay bet wins because your selection has lost. Therefore, you collect your $100 that you laid on Nature Strip. However, you have to pay a commission to Betfair because Betfair is an exchange. They make their money off commission. And in New South Wales, the commission rate is 10%. So you have to pay Betfair $10. So you walk away from that situation with $90 in your pocket after commission. Okay, so for example, you can see here that in the morning, this is actually about 1 minute before the race, Nature Strip was sitting at about $2 to lay instantly, heaps of money there. There was about 1.2 million matched at that time. But in the morning of, you could have got Nature Strip around about $1.75, $1.80, which comfortably would have got that bet amount laid, which obviously I'm going to show you now how to do it. So a small disclaimer before I get started on the education around Betfair. If you do not understand Betfair, this is a massive warning to not attempt it on your own. I promise you, you will lose money, especially when trying to do this on horse racing. Even people who I know and myself personally have been doing this for over 5 years still make mistakes on a regular basis, and it's not to be fucked around with. If you want to learn what Betfair is and how to use it properly, we have obviously about 10 hours worth of content in our Platinum squad. But warning here, do not use BETFAIR unless you know what you're doing. All right, so if you don't know how to get here, obviously you need to go to the HUSSLAsquad.com and then go to calculators, go to Australia and then click lay calculators, go to the normal back and lay calculator. We're gonna put the back amounts in at 210 bucks and the odds of all those multis averaged out was $20.95. Now, you could have laid Nature Strip at $1.80. Obviously, the commission in New South Wales for that race is 10%. And it's telling us that if we lay Nature Strip for $2,587 with a liability of $2,070, we are going to guarantee ourselves $2,100 if Nature Strip wins and $2,100 if your back bet loses, i.e. Nature Strip loses. So, before the race even started, this punter could have walked away with $2,119. Couldn't give a fuck about what happens, wouldn't have to watch it, wouldn't have to have stress, no anxiety, puts the money in his pocket, fuck you to the bookies, and he takes it home. That's what any punter in this situation should have and could have done, okay? It's really sad that this guy walked away from this with absolutely nothing, and not only that, he actually lost 210 bucks, as well as all the other multis that he had placed into Nature Strip that had lost and not even got to the last leg. Now, this guy would have no doubt walked away from this situation in massive regret. He would have fucking said, fucking hell. Maybe I should have listened to those guys when they said 3-4 weeks in a row to hedge my bets. Fuck, what do I do now? Should I go gamble on the next race? And this is what people don't consider when it comes to punting. If you're losing and you're constantly having this stress and anxiety around punting, you're gonna have this unmeasurable amount of wasted energy when it comes to punting, and you're going to look at the next race, you're going to look for quick fixes, and it opens yourself up to vulnerable, I guess, mindsets. And unfortunately, that's what happens to punters. Now, as you know, this guy could have guaranteed $2,119 by simply laying Nature Strip in the morning of out of his position. But I'm going to show you now what I would have done in this situation and potentially would have made a lot more than the $2,100. So pay attention, I warn you, this is for advanced people only. All right, so this is what I would have done in this situation, okay? Obviously here we've got the situation, $210 invested, $4,400 return. Easy, simple lay, all out pre-race, lay the $2,587, walk away with $2,190. I've already shown you that. But now I'm gonna show you what I would have done with a more complex example. And this one is for pretty advanced people only, as I've already said. I'm gonna manipulate the markets here and use my knowledge of horse racing and BETFAIR and how the markets work in a live market to be able to get myself in a position where potentially I can make a lot more than I could if I just walked away from the situation with a simple lay, walking away with $2,100 no matter what happens. This is what I would have done in this situation on this particular race with this particular horse on this particular day. So before the race started, I would have laid Nature Strip for $1,900. Obviously, I'm gonna put my $1,900 lay on Nature Strip pre-race. That gets matched at $1.80. What I'm going to take home is $1,900 if Nature Strip loses. I'm going to have to pay a commission of 10% of that, which is $190. I'm essentially going to walk away with $1,710 from that BETFAIR situation, assuming none of these other bets get matched, i.e. Nature Strip doesn't get as low as 160 live. Obviously, you need to count the outlay of $210, so I'll walk away with $1,500 no matter what, pre-race. However, I'm also going to put some live lays in here. This is where it gets a little bit complex. I'm going to chuck a live lay at $1.60. And what I mean by a live lay is on BETFAIR, you can actually put a bet on and press keep, okay? Keep means it'll stay live and be active while the race starts. You don't actually place the bet while the race is running. You place it in advance and you set it at the odds that you want to do based on your position. And obviously I'm going to explain here. And that's what will then happen. If the race gets to that position and the odds are hit and someone matches it, that bet then gets matched and obviously becomes in play. Now, a $200 lay at $1.60 means if that lay bet gets matched at $1.60, I then get an extra $200 minus commission on my live lay for Nature Strip. It adds up essentially to this. So, an extra $200 there, obviously minus commission, which is an extra $180, and you can see there my profit goes up to $16.80, assuming that it doesn't get to $155. I'm then also going to put an additional $300 at $1.55, an additional $400 at $1.50, an additional $400 at $1.30, and a $500 at $1.10. What you need to understand is all this red figure here is what I would lose if Nature Strip wins. $2,175 would have been lost if Nature Strip had won the race. But remember, I actually make or get back $4,398 from my original multis on Nature Strip, as this is up here. Okay, so I walk away from the situation with $2,013.85 in profit, obviously with my outlay of $210 as well on the original bets, okay? Assuming that Nature Strip wins, that's what's going to happen. That's fixed. That won't change because all these would get matched live if Nature Strip would end up winning. If Nature Strip had ended up losing the race and none of the following bets got matched, i.e. Nature Strip never hit 160, 155, 150, 130, 110 live, if any of those didn't get hit, I still walk away with $1,500 profit. So in the most ideal situation, what I would want to happen here is Nature Strip gets to an unlosable position. Everyone takes my lay bets, which are they're backing Nature Strip at these odds. These all get matched and then Nature Strip loses. Now, something similar did happen, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a highlight here. Going back, if you notice at the start, I actually showed you what happened with the BETFAIR on the screen. I'm going to show you that again now. Alright, so before I explain to you how this works, it's going to be a little bit complex. But what I want you to understand is that I would have had these lay bets in at the following odds. $1.60, $1.55, $1.50, $1.30, and $1.10. Now, I want you to pay attention to this blue amount here, okay? Essentially what that blue figure is that somebody has, or a group of people have accumulated $133 on the lay side of Nature Strip. All those people, whether it be one individual, 10 individuals, 5 individuals, have totaled $133 on the lay on Nature Strip, okay? And that's sitting there waiting to be backed. And until it gets backed, it will not be a matched bet, okay? But what you need to understand is if I have something at $1.60, for example, and the blue section here is sitting at $2, we can assume that unless that 2 goes down to $1.60, it will not get matched. However, if I have money sitting at $1.60 and you see this blue at $1.59 or less, it would mean that that bet would have got matched on the lay side. I know that's a little bit complex, but if you see this blue figure below any of these amounts, then you can assume that they would have got matched. Okay, now let's have a watch of what happens next.
Oh, the gates are back, they're off and racing. Eduardo jumped well. So did Nature.
Pay attention just here. I'm just going to get through that yucky bit. Okay, let's pay attention now. Remember, these are my lay amounts. $1.60. Let's have a look.
They turn. They swing now. Eduardo and Nature Strip.
$1.60 gone. Matched. $1.55 gone. $1.50 gone. $1.30. The $1.30 hit it, but it didn't go below it. So I'm going to say that it wouldn't have counted, okay? But as you can see, I would have got the $1.60 gone. $1.55 gone, $1.50 gone. All of those would have got matched. So I would have walked away from this position with the lay amounts that I spoke about before, which was I think 300 and then another 300 and then 400. So I would have got a total of $2,310 profit. And arguably you could even say an extra 400 on $1.30 may have hit because it actually got to the point where there was a little bit of money taken at $1.30, I think. Maybe not. It just sat at 160. So potentially that probably wouldn't have got matched live. But as you can see, Nature Strip's odds went in massively as it looked home kind of down the straight. And in another situation, we've seen many horses get to $1.10, $1.05 and actually lose. And in the most ideal sense, in this example, we would have had the $1.30 hit, which would have profited $2,630. And then we would have had the $1.10, which we would have walked away with just over 3.1K in this situation, okay? Unfortunately, obviously I'm just using this as an example. I didn't actually do this, but that's what I would have done in this situation. I would have walked away with $2,310. $200 more than the, okay, just lay it at the start and piss off and not worry about it. But I've actually put myself in a position where I could have made over $3,100 while still getting the $2,000 that I would have got back if Nature Strip had won. Okay, it's really important to understand that if these lay bets get matched and Nature Strip loses, those lay bets are winners, okay? But if those lay bets get matched and Nature Strip wins, then obviously you would lose those lay bets, and that's what this figure over here is when it comes to these total liability. BETFAIR loss is all assuming all of those bets get matched, because if Nature Strip wins, it's fair to assume that all those bets would have got matched, therefore I would have lost $2,175. Hopefully this wasn't too complex. I'm sorry if I made it too complex, but basically what you need to understand from this is that in a position where you have that again, and you're on your last leg of your multi, the person that doesn't lay would have walked away with a negative $210. If you want to look at it from a really objective sense, this person had 4 weeks to decide what to do on this. And I actually don't see this person walking away from this from a position of minus 210. I personally think they lost $2,100 because in that situation, they could have walked away with the cash out and hedged the bet, which would have taken a total of about 3 minutes on BetFair to set up. And they could have walked away with this amount of money here. So I don't buy into this. I think this needs to be spoken about more often as a punter. You actually lost $2,100 because you had the time, you had the decision making, and you had the ability to take that $2,100 off the table. And it's not a matter of happening 2 minutes where you didn't have time. He had 4 weeks to decide, and he lost $2,100 in my mind. If you don't agree, let me know in the comments. But if you think that he only lost $210, then probably you're a losing punter. Okay. What also the person that did not lay and let it ride does to their mindset and emotions is they lost. Okay. They now have regret. They're now probably going to chase their losses. But the positive is they probably learnt their lesson. Okay. So, I mean, we say here at the Hustle Squad, win or learn. Okay. So, person who placed the bet, they took profit. They take $2,100 away. They say, fuck you to the bookies. I won. They reinforce their discipline on their decision makings around money. They learnt a lesson, and next time they're in that same position on the last leg of their multi or any other position where they have a crypto coin that's gone 10 times and they take profit instead of waiting for it to go to the moon, it recycles back down and they don't get any reward from the situation, okay? Now, if you're someone who wants to learn more about what we do, obviously we have shit ton more content over on our website. We've got a free course teaching you how to use the promos, the specials, offers, bonuses, learn how to use your betting accounts more valuably, and obviously learn how to stay under the radar and not get banned, okay? We also work closely with the system, promotional tipping service with 450 plus paid subs, 700 units of profit, and no losing months to this point, 23 out of 23 profitable months, as well as a refund guarantee, okay? There's 15 plus other podcasts on Spotify and YouTube at the time of filming, and we obviously speak about multis and why you shouldn't do them, the value of your betting accounts, betting mindset, exposing bookie affiliations and XAFL and bookie marketing and how they use the psych and the ideas to get inside your head to continually take revenue off you. There's also interviews with members who have managed to change their life and make a consistent profit off the bookies without actually gambling. And you can also book a free call. Enough about this. Hopefully you've learned something. If you have any questions about anything else, don't hesitate to reach out to us on Instagram. All the links will be in the description. And if you want to learn more about what we do, YouTube, website, everything is there. Go to town, and don't be shy. If you have a question, leave it in the comments or DM us directly on Instagram. Hope you learned something. See you next time.